Aaron.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Aaron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
You done messed up, Aaron!
Well, Aaron done messed up this time. We're 10 minutes late because I could not get my phone to connect as a camera. Then I couldn't get my earbuds to connect as a microphone. It's been an absolute debacle over here. But here we are. Good morning, Reese.
Good morning.
It is 3:40 in the afternoon. Good afternoon, Reese.
Good afternoon, Aaron. Glad you're with us. Glad you could be here. You had the same problem I had last night where I had to drive to another location.
Yes, not today, Xenu. You will not get us today.
My new saying is not today, Thetan. Instead of Satan.
Not today, Thetan. Not today. Guys, real special announcement to get this kicked off. We're going to have very shortly here a new addition to the extended SPTV family of YouTube channels. And that is going to be the one and only Jenna Miscavige. So get over there, guys. Get over there and be one of Jenna's first subscribers. I think that first subscriber is me. and I told Jenna I was going to promote the shit out of this even before she gets any content up there, guys. And while we're talking about subscribing to channels, if any of you, I can't imagine anybody's not subscribed to Reese yet, but in case you're not subscribed to Reese yet, go over and oh my God, you broke 6,000.
6,000 last night. That's less than a month. That's awesome, you guys.
Holy cow. Now
I
I want
love
to see how many subscribers Jenna got in the last minute. Okay, 2 more. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, so let me stop sharing this screen and let's bring up, guys, we're going to listen to more recorded phone calls with Scientology official Kathy Sullivan Otto. I mean, this is the show you just don't want to miss. Let me bring this up. Remind everyone.
Lots of it.
Remind everyone we listened to part 1 yesterday, which ended up being part 1 and part 2, which is why I'm calling this one part 3. Remind everyone what was being discussed at the tail end of the phone call, because that's where it picks up. I think it was about your dad. Am I right?
Well, I don't know. I think so, but I haven't listened to it since last night.
Okay, fine. All right. Didn't want to put you on the spot there.
Isn't she giving some weird analogy again about like X?
Yeah, that's exactly where we pick it up.
X, okay, something like that. Yeah.
That's exactly where we pick it up.
We got a lot of analogies from this woman. I was spinning. It's too much.
Fat Hipster is asking for a link to Jenna's channel. Fat Hipster, after we're done here, I will put a link in the description, but it is, if you go at Jenna Miscavige, you just can't miss it. Okay. All right, let's see. I think no more introduction necessary. You ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to rock
right,
my socks off.
Let's do this thing.
I don't not understand that. What I'm saying is you feel like something needs to be done about situation X. And I'm only saying X, not to not is it, but because it's more than one situation. Okay?
Yeah.
Situation X. I understand that. I would like to help you do something about situation X so that you don't feel like the only thing you can do is this last. Don't you feel like what you're seeking or what you're starting to do? I don't know what you're doing exactly. I just know that one thing. For all I know, it's one message. You know what I mean?
It is one message. I don't have a big story to give Aaron Smith-Levin.
Oh, she's referring to maybe you've just been in touch with me like one time or something, right?
Yeah, she's trying to get the question answered. Like, what else have you done? And she's just saying, you've only done this one thing, right?
Right.
He's got. I don't have a big story. If I did have a big story, I mean, I would love to talk about my dad specifically.
Right.
And you can take that for whatever you think that means publicly. Yeah, I would talk about him. I don't really have much to say. I think he's fucking horrible. I didn't know he was writing a report on me saying I'm a 2.5%er, according to this C word guy. I think that's horrible.
When did you hear that?
It was about 6 months ago. He had like an Italian name. Brenda knows because I told her. She was like, oh, I love him. He had a thick accent. He's here in Kansas City. And he said he goes to Omaha all the time. He was like, next time I go to Omaha, I'm going to tell your dad that I think you're a nice girl. And I was like, yeah, this is uncomfortable for me. That I just, it's not a joke.
I'm just writing that one down.
Yeah, that apparently there's a report. I mean, I'm not surprised. My dad labeled my sister and my mother a 2.5%er too. And his
Marisa,
mother.
I will personally go to Flag today if you want me to. Find the most senior MAA and start working on your dad to resolve what the hell. If that's what you want me to do.
I don't know what could be resolved, Kathy. The guy doesn't.
I don't know, but
acknowledge that I exist. He's not gonna.
I think I know what you're saying you want resolved with your dad. You know, I'm shocked. I'm not shocked that you're upset. I'm not shocked that things come to a head with Gene Wally. I'm no friend of Gene Wally. Okay.
Oh, I know that.
But you mean a lot to me. And for you to become an open attacker out in the world of Scientology would obviously mean, and I mean this sincerely, regardless of I freaking just didn't go to a Christmas party because one friend said something bad about another friend and I was drawing a line in the sand. I'm intense about friendship.
I know.
You do?
I know that about you. Fuck yeah, I know that about you.
And the Academy Award goes to...
Oh, Aaron.
Okay, so if I'm a friend, I'm a true friend, and I expect people to be the same to me, which is why Brenda's my truest friend of all time. I think you know that.
Yes, I do know that.
And because Brenda took care of me from my viewpoint more than anybody else did. I know that's a selfish view of friends.
Oh, not in my opinion.
Hmm?
Not in my opinion. That's not a selfish view of friends, but I don't have any friends, so I understand.
You do.
Well, I don't have a lot of friends.
I'm not saying that to protect myself. I'm not saying that to protect my religion. I do love you. I am your friend. And the last thing in the world I would want to do is be in this situation. So tell me what I got to do to not be in this situation.
It's all about her.
Yeah.
Tell me what I need to do to not be in this situation of losing you as a friend.
Why I recorded these calls. This was never intended to go public with these calls. I had no intention of that. It was to go back and listen to the gaslighting. I was reading at that time a lot about gaslighting and understanding it, and I felt like it pertained to what these guys were saying to me. So I started recording the calls back in October. And so I could go back and listen to it. And she does. Don't you agree? It's all about her. And she even says, tell me what I got to do. It's basically, I'm on the line here. So tell me what I have to do to fix this. So that I had been complaining about my dad since I was 16. I was 38 during this phone call. Tell me what I have to do. I've been talking about it for years. So clearly this is all about you, right? And cleaning up the mess for you so that you can continue on OT7. Is that correct? I mean, that's how it feels to me. So I don't have to be connected to you. Tell me what I have to do so we don't have a connection anymore, or we can fix this so I can keep going on the bridge.
Yeah. I think it's why they had Kathy call you, because they know she's really good at this.
She is. She's supposed to be. I saw right through it.
Kathy, let me just ask you something. Are you surprised? I mean, you know me pretty well. I'm not
surprised that you're this upset.
Well, are you surprised though that I have had no fucking success in Scientology? Like all of your friends, like everybody you know, like your wonderful career on staff, you, Dan, Brenda, everybody I know has had like this really, they look back on it and it's like, and like still you're on OT7. I don't know if you're OT8 or if you're still on 7, but
I'm 7.
Okay. So like you climbed the mountain just like everybody else. It didn't work for me. I flailed around for a long time, just like Michael Argis, just like probably Abby Carr. I don't know her situation, but it didn't work for me. And I have a lot of like, none of this shit worked for me.
Yeah.
So
I'm not surprised to hear you say that at all.
No, I know you're not, because I know that you really observed that over the years. So like, I don't feel like it's a shock to you, any of this. It shouldn't be, but the only shock I get is that, yes, I'm like an enemy at this point. And you're asking me, what do I have to do so that that's not a thing? I'm not going to go on TV about it. I'm just really upset.
You tell stuff to Aaron, he goes on TV. I mean, like this guy, what he's doing, which took me a minute to figure out because I didn't know.
Apparently he's like becoming pretty big.
I don't know if he's pretty big or not, but what he's willing to openly say, what he's trying to do, like I don't have any idea about how big that stuff is. I do honestly avoid, when I Google something about Scientology and I see that it comes from specific places. I just didn't know Aaron was a source of it. I do personally know Aaron. I don't know him as a friend, but I've been around him over the time of the earlier years.
She said she doesn't know me as a friend. Like her and Dan were two really good friends of mine, but she doesn't know that you know. She doesn't know that you, you know.
Aaron, I don't feel sorry for you. At least she named you my name. Dan called me that woman.
Exactly.
I didn't know him then.
No.
I think he's close to my age.
Yeah, that's right. I would guess off the top of my head that he's about 6 years younger than me or 5 years younger than me.
Okay. I don't know. Just looking at the guy, I'm guessing he's close to my age.
How old are you, Reese?
I'm now 39.
Oh, okay. I'm 42, so close enough.
Yeah.
When I trained with him, I was probably 21, and I think he was 14, 15, 16.
Okay.
Something like that. So,
I've spoken
know.
to him twice, so I don't like know him. I've texted with
just
him,
like
but I mean,
text messaging or speaking?
speaking. I've spoken to him on the phone twice in like 6 months. Brianna introduced me to him.
I don't want to keep you from your
It's
breakfast.
okay.
We're not done talking, I don't think. Do you think we're done talking?
I don't think we're done talking, but I do feel like you get what I'm saying. And I know what the stakes are higher for you. I know that you'll have to disconnect from me. I already, like I say, I know this has been coming.
But I want you to stop saying have to, because there's this shit about Scientology that makes you disconnect from families and friends. You know, I would choose that if someone was very harmfully. Now, I'm not talking about someone being mad, someone expressing themselves to me. You've expressed yourself plenty to me. I've never gotten mad at you. I've never not loved you over it. I've never said I can't be your friend over that. I would not. You can say this stuff to me all day long. And I wish I had done or found a way to do something more about it. I'm sorry that it's come to a head for you. I'm sorry that someone told me your dad wrote a report that said or mentioned 200% to you or used any of those. I'm sorry about all of that. And if I could go do something about it now, I would. I understand you may be saying too little, too fucking late. That's not okay.
No,
But
I
nothing
don't
ever
feel that
happened.
way. I don't feel like too little, too late. I'm on this path of destruction, but I think it's too little, too late. Like I'm gonna voice it now to you because I'm talking to you. To this, I thought Jeff was yelling at me. He's in his office with the door shut, but he's on a meeting call. But
It's so loud.
It's not that I mean I'm going public or something. I just mean I'm not going to fucking be quiet about it anymore. That's what I mean when I said to Brenda, I was like, look, I didn't want to have this conversation. You're training. I didn't want to upset you. I wanted to do this in person, but this is how I feel. And that's what I mean by that. I'm just not going to be quiet about that anymore. I think Scientology is destructive to me. I believe it's destructive. It's not done a lot to help me. It's done more to harm me. That's how I feel.
Okay. So I'm going to think about what I could do about it. Not doing anything else with it. Not talking to anyone else about it.
I think people know, Kathy. I haven't heard from Brenda. Brenda tried to call me actually a week ago today. Today's Monday, right? Yeah, last Monday. I was vacuuming and it said Brenda missed call 8 minutes ago, and it was like 11:50 my time, which was weird because she's in bed by then. And
by the way, I wondered, Reese, how many people yesterday wondered why you kept saying that they go to bed by 11 a.m. And I just want to real quick, all of the Scientology staff members who are training in Clearwater, Florida right now, of which there's somewhere between 500 and 1,000, Miscavige has them studying all night and sleeping all day. I just wanted to mention that because people are probably think that you keep misspeaking or something like that, and you're not. That's what you meant to say.
I called her back, no answer. I texted her and I said, was that an accident? Is everything okay? And I have not heard back from her at all. And I assumed that Flag probably saw my name on that and has taken her phone and has since has her in a room and is interrogating the shit out of her and figuring out how to write up my SP declare. I'm sure you're not the only person that knows.
Do you want me to find out? Do you want me to find out if Brenda is supposed to be not in communication with you and that Flag already has all this data? I just made one phone call. If you want me to find out, I'll find out. If you don't, I won't.
I don't need to know. I mean, I'm sure I'll find out eventually, right? She'll just stop talking to me or I'll get some kind of a letter of disconnection.
No, disconnection. Yeah, I mean, disconnection would be more threatening than that. But I don't know, actually.
I don't either.
At this point, I'm so surprised that I don't want to say anything about anything because I don't know.
And I also haven't heard from Sam and Fiona since then. And we text almost daily.
Okay.
Not about Scientology ever, but like memes and about the baby and, just good roads, good weather stuff. But I have not heard from them in a week now and 3 days. So I have a feeling, I'm sure that they've been told not to have any communication with me while they interrogate Brenda.
Okay.
I'm just not surprised. I even told Brenda, you know what I did when I talked to Brenda about all this? I offered to disconnect. I said, maybe we need to disconnect now. Like I should disconnect from you because I don't want to put this on your lines and get you in trouble. Like it's coming is what I told her. I was like, it's, you know how I feel, my hatred toward it. I know the stakes. I just can't be quiet about it. I don't want her to know. I don't feel good about Brenda being like this, and this, and I have a win on this. And I don't want to talk about that stuff. I don't have those wins.
Okay.
And so I was upfront with her and I said, maybe we should just disconnect. And she was like, I don't want to do that. And I will say,
I don't want to do that either. So what I want to do is come up with what we could do. If you don't want to talk about the topic, if that's the handling for you, I mean, that's not enough. I know that. But, I want you to, and I don't expect you to just come out of that right now in thin air. Are you PTP'd about getting to your
I'm
breakfast?
not. I already texted her and told her.
PTP'd means present time problem. Just for you listeners, it means something you have your attention on that's distracting you from what you're supposed to be doing. Anyway, I just wanted to say that.
I'm going to be running a little late. It's fine.
Okay.
It's not that I don't want to talk about Scientology. Like I have a lot of friends I feel like that I could call. Like I love Arla. I'll always love Arla. I don't want to say a lot of friends. I have to be honest, I don't give a shit about like Cynthia Smith. I was never really friends with her. But I am worried if I actually get declared. Of course, I'm not being selfish here. Like I've talked to Huxley about this thoroughly, that we may lose our relationship with Brenda and Doug. I also realize the stakes that Brenda and Doug will have to disconnect from Michael. Like it scares me because
I love how you keep mentioning enforced disconnection, even though she tries to get you to stop mentioning it.
I know she really does, doesn't she?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about that.
Okay.
So it's hard because I want to say what I want to say, but I also don't want to hurt anybody. This isn't to hurt anybody.
Let me ask you this. If I'm your terminal for you to say everything you want to say and for you and me to go through and decide what can be done, should be done, and I would ask that you please be somewhat reasonable. I cannot wave a magic wand and make Gene Wally palatable to you, but maybe I could do something about something and you and I could think it up, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I would like you to think about what the destruction that you feel like has occurred, what could possibly be done to either acknowledge it or help sort it out. And I'm not at this moment like, of course I believe in Scientology. I love Scientology. It's helped me. I always want somebody to have, sorry, my mom's calling me. Let me just send her to voicemail. Okay. I don't want to be like, I don't want you to do Scientology because that was bullshit.
Of course.
But my end goal at resolving and acknowledging it would be to record it, to help do whatever you and I could think of should be done about it. But if you're like, you need to hang Gene Wally by the testicles from the center of the highest bridge, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm asking you to be somewhat.
No, I don't even wish for that on him. It's the org. It's the fact that I feel like it's swept under the rug. It's just okay. And I'm only talking about Gene Wally because that's a common thing I can talk about with you. I'm not even like, the other upset I have is with your fucking brother. I've said this for years, like this, your brother and I got into a really physical fight when I was on staff at 15. Actually, that's what kind of brought all this on when my dad came and was like, fuck you. I don't want anything to do with you. And
why don't I know this?
I don't know that I ever told you. I figured you knew from Dan, but I got into a really physical fight with him in HCO, I fucked up and didn't send this telex properly. And I thought I did. And I fucking hated the telex thing. And Todd wasn't around anymore to do it. And I had to read the manual overnight and like learn it and do it the next day. I think Todd had left or something. It was like a real abrupt, I don't remember what happened to Todd, but remember he was the has. And he was.
Todd and I stayed in calm all the way until.
Well, he was no longer at the org to do the telex sending.
Real quick for the viewers, she mentioned this was in HCO. HCO is basically the acronym for the human resources area of a Scientology org. And the HAS is another acronym. That's the post title for the person who's over HR, just so everyone knows.
HCO area secretary.
Yeah, but then we have to
area
define HCO and all that bullshit. So it's like,
okay, yeah,
but
it's
just
the human resources department. Yeah,
that's right. HCO is the human resources department, and HAS is the human resources director.
Telex sending, and all of a sudden, within hours, it was like, "You're going to be doing this," and I was like, "Oh my god!" So I had to read the manual. Dan had this really important telex to be sent. I thought I sent it, and apparently I didn't. Like I didn't do it right. And Dan came into HCO and flipped the fuck out. Like, just, I'll never forget this. He grabbed me by the throat and he started choking me. And then he picked up this, like, I don't know if it was a fax machine. It was like a very large, heavy object. And he hit me over the head with it. And I fell on the ground. He was on top of me. And your mom walked in and Liz walked in. And I was screaming. I'm sure that's why they walked in. And I went, "Help me!" And he was choking me. And I was screaming, "Help me." And your mom looked at Liz. I'll never forget this. And she goes, "Look at her. She's fucking out to lunch." And nobody did anything. No one did anything. I was saying, "Help me," and no one did anything.
And how old would you have been at that time, Reese?
16. I just turned.
And Dan would have been what? At least I don't know.
24, 25.
Okay.
So Dan got up off me. I was shaking. I was screaming. I slammed the door and locked it behind me. Remember how tiny HCO was? I called my dad. And I was like, I was like, like, I couldn't even talk. I was so fucking freaked out. And my dad was like, "What? I can't understand you." And I was like, "He hit me." I was like, freaked the fuck out. And my dad, which this is so cool. I was like, oh, it's the last moment I really liked my dad. He goes, "Where are you?" And I told him, and he said, "Stay locked in that room. I'll be there in 3 hours." I could feel my dad just like turning around wherever he was and heading to Kansas City.
Wow.
He came to Kansas City. I'm just going to tell you this, okay? He comes to Kansas City. He says, "I'm there." I unlock the door. He comes up and he like inspects me. And he goes, "Where is Dan?" And he went over to his office. Remember the old org? He went over to his office. I think it said CSing in progress. My dad like tried to open the door. Dan opens the door. And my dad I was standing there. My dad got in Dan's face like within an inch. And he was like, "Gene, calm down, Gene." And he was like trying to kind of reel him back. And my dad said, "Show me how you hit her. Hit me how you hit her." And he was like, "I'm not going to do that. This is irrational. Like, calm down." He was like, "No, show me how you hit her. I want to know exactly the motions. I want to know what you did to her." And Dan got out the ethics book in, I think, knowledge reports. And he was like, "I want to show you what LRH says right here, how he gave a guy a black eye." And he was like, "I was following policy. This is what it says. Like, this is what I did." And Maggie came in. I think someone probably went and got her and got in between the two of them. And she was like, "Gene, calm the fuck down." She was like, "You don't know what's going on." She was like, tell your dad what you've been doing. Tell him why you pulled this all in and why this is your fault." Like, she was just really angry. And I was like, "Tell him what?" And she was like, "Tell him that you have been a problem at this org. You've been sleeping with Shane. You're underage." She was like, "You've been nothing but an ethics particle. Tell him." And I was like, okay. And see, I thought my dad knew I was sleeping with Shane. Like, we had gone up to Omaha. And he got really upset. And I don't think he was upset that I was sleeping with Shane. I think he was more upset because my dad really likes Maggie. And she was saying that I was such a problem. She said I had been a problem since I joined staff.
Is Shane one of the people who's contacted you and expressed a willingness to cooperate with any investigations into the crimes against children at the Kansas City org?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I had been screwing around with all the men in the org. So my dad turned around and left. He literally turned around pretty quickly after that. And he said, I'm leaving. And I was like, Dad, wait. And I started crying. He was walking down the stairs. And he said, don't call me Dad. I'm not your father anymore. I'm not going to be a part of this. He said, I thought you were doing something good. You've been nothing but a problem. And he said, don't call me again. And he said, find your own financial way. And I was like, wait. And then like within a couple hours, Shane took me to St. Joe ER on 435. And I had an immediate surgery down my throat, waited a week, had another surgery through my stomach. And then I was there another week. And called my dad because social services came and he was like, I'm not your father. Don't contact me ever again. And then.
So this incident of you getting attacked is what your dad ended up turning on you over and disowning you over.
Yes.
Fucking insane.
And after that, every year on Father's Day, I emailed him and he would say, do not reach out to me. I'm not your father. So that's just kind of intertwined with the Dan thing. But like the Dan thing really upset me too. That was just okay.
Right. That makes sense to me.
So it's just things like that I'm like, that should have never happened. That just should have never happened. Like anything physical should have never happened.
Right. What I'm trying to think about is what can be done.
You notice how she's not fazed by anything you said.
For someone who said they didn't know this story, yeah, she's not fazed at all. And she's not fazed because this was just another day at the Scientology office, guys. Dan O'Connor, I have someone who reached out to me and said, I was on staff with you at that time, and I watched Dan beat the shit out of several staff members. This person who reached out is a large individual, very able to take care of themselves physically, and said, do you know how many fights I had to break up with Dan? Because he was a loose cannon.
Yeah.
So Kathy's not surprised about this because she was in the fights with him.
That's right. Yeah,
that's how they got things done.
That's right. She maybe, if we're being charitable, maybe she didn't hear about this specific incident, but it's not a surprise to her because she's seen and heard of dozens of others.
She had to have heard about this when at that time, that was a big deal when my dad showed up, made a ruckus. There was maybe 15 staff members at the time. Kathy was a huge executive. She knew about this.
Yeah.
It's not true. Like it was a giant building with hundreds of people. Kathy was there.
Yeah.
Not to shut you up, but what can be done to fix the things you look back and you go, these are not okay. This should have been owned. This should have been handled differently.
Yeah.
Because I know Dan did a lot of things good for you following that. And I know that you must be taking those into consideration when you look back at that, you know?
Dan did, say that again.
This
Dan
is still
did
unfixed for
I misunderstood what you just said. Dan did a lot of things what following that? Oh, good for you. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Like, I remember that Dan and my mom orchestrated when you didn't, I don't remember why. My memory is not amazing on these details, and it's not, like, convenient. One time I remember holding a court of ethics on somebody, and I was like, ugh, I wouldn't have to be doing this court of ethics if I just written a few KRs on this guy. I go to study his ethics file to do the court of ethics, and there are my KRs. I honestly didn't even remember ever KRing it.
I guess OT7 hasn't done much for her, huh? For her memory?
I mean, just going back and listening to this, that almost shakes me a little bit. Like, makes me feel shaken up, guys. Hearing a story like that is not an everyday story, but sadly it is for someone like the O'Connors. That family in particular are extremely violent. And it was very common to get their way by using force. It's probably just like David Miscavige's. But I mean, Aaron, the fact that you pointed that out is so true. She's not even ruffled by this at all. And then she goes on to say, I know he's done a lot of good for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's okay that he beats you up. He did a lot of things to help you.
Yeah. I mean, after that, he did some things. Remember that thing he did? Remember?
Yeah, he's helped you.
She hasn't even actually gotten into the things that she remembers, but I'm dying to see if she gives some examples. It is. And it's not, I mean, physical violence is not uncommon in Scientology orgs. And because Dan, you know, Dan's probably one of the worst ones, honestly.
I've always said that.
He is probably one of the worst ones, but it's not considered a huge deal if something like this happens in an org.
This is not a big deal at all, guys. Like this is a this would be called a flap, actually, that we're even talking about it. Like this is so nothing. I saw so many chairs get thrown in that org at people. I mean, it was unreal. The academy chairs, people would pick them up and throw them at people. This is silly and eye rolling to them that like we're even spending time on it.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's kind of it wasn't even a big deal or anything, but that's just kind of how I am. And sorry about that, because these are important things. But I do remember you came to my house and got auditing from my mom. I remember that Dan actually orchestrated that and arranged that.
Oh, definitely. No, definitely. Dan and your mom have both been great to me.
And I'm not saying, oh, it's okay because they did shit for you. You shouldn't be upset about this thing. I'm just thinking, I think things moved along in a better direction along the way, but Marisa still has her attention on this. And attention is the wrong thing to say. Marisa's still very upset about this big thing that happened at this point.
By the way, guys, Marisa is Reese.
Yeah, that's my legal name. I said this last night. My dad started calling me Reese it too because people kept saying Marissa, and he didn't like that. So I've always gone by Reese.
Yeah. So Kathy's just, she's struggling why you would still have your attention on something like this. It's amazing.
So like, what could I think of? What could you think of? What could they think of that could be done to acknowledge and or somehow make better something that literally cannot, you can't unbreak grandmother's face.
Right. Well, here's a start. Just acknowledge that even happened, right? Like, you're right. They've done great things for me. That's like having a boyfriend that's like, well, but he pays for everything. He's really good. I know he hits me sometimes, but it's just sometimes. Otherwise, we go out all the time and he's great. That's not good enough. We haven't even acknowledged it.
Okay.
Like your mom
I
never.
agree with you. An acknowledgement can really go a
long like just way. acknowledge that it happened.
No, but it's a lot better than saying, hey, grandma, yeah, I broke your vase, but if you think about it, you deserved it.
Right.
Big difference.
And that's another thing in Scientology is, everyone that knows this story, that's not a lot of people, would go, well, she must have done something to pull that in.
See, and I want to say something to you about that. And this is sincere from me, okay? No, Scientology over the decades has changed a lot. And one part that is sad for me about you not being in Scientology today is that, well, for example, I did lower conditions probably 10 times the first 2 years I was in Scientology. Do you want to know how many times I've done lower conditions in the last 20 years?
Probably not very many.
None.
Zero? Yeah, I was going to say zero.
None.
That doesn't surprise me. You're Kathy Otto.
I've come a long way. I've come a long way from being a person who should do lower. At that time, there were at least a couple legitimate lower condition things back then,
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me, though. I mean, you're
about me or
about you.
Scientology has changed so much. The evidence of that is that Kathy doesn't do lower conditions anymore.
That old chestnut. Everybody says that. It's changed. I've heard that so many damn times.
Oh my God. Yeah. Dan didn't know not to beat people up back then, but it's changed.
They got rid of all the fax machines.
Yeah.
He doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't beat people over the head with that.
That's right. Now he beats people up with the email machine. It's different.
You're very well known. You're on 7. That's what I mean. You climbed the mountain. Most people have. I think my dad's even clear. I didn't know that. I asked Brenda and she's like, no, I would know that. And this Sea Org lady was like, he's clear. She goes, he did OT1 in 2015. I was like, that's it? And she goes, that's all I show. I was like, no, he didn't.
It doesn't step out plainly. No one does OT1.
That's what I said.
Anyway,
I was like, no. And she goes, oh, I got it wrong.
I can find out all these things for you. Here's what I'm going to recommend to you. And I want you to think it over. You do not have to say yes to me right now. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want you to just do it. I want you to just think about it within your own integrity. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be given a chance to do everything possible to handle your originations. And I don't mean by that, put them in a little box and shut you up. I've never meant that my whole life. I don't believe in treating people that way. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I will do everything I can to help through this We will write down all of the things, type them all up. If you want to do that right now, I'm down for doing it right now.
I can't right now. I'm going to have to get in the shower.
Okay.
I don't
can do
know
it
this
another
lady
time.
that well that I'm meeting, so it's not like I can just blow her off. I don't know her that well.
It's totally fine. Lily went back to school. I have some work to do. I'm going to do some sessions.
I mean,
I'll
what are
just
you
be
thinking
around.
this is going to help? I don't. What are we
If
thinking?
there's anything I can do to keep you from feeling like you have to scream it off the rooftops to a known SP of Scientology, great. And to handle it so that you've at least been acknowledged. Like, I can't give you a good answer
Can you
because I'm
pause
sitting
it?
here going, what in the
Yeah.
What she just said. What she just said is the goal. If there's anything I can do to keep us protected and not you, all I want to do is keep you from screaming it from the rooftops to a known suppressive person. That's your answer. And I'm so glad I recorded this call. That's it. Do you agree? I mean, that's it. She didn't apologize. And you know, it would have gone a long way for her to even say, I'm really sorry that my brother did that. That's absolutely unacceptable. You were a child and that should have never been allowed. Child, adult, human being, animal, nothing. But no, instead it was, what can we do to keep you from screaming this to Aaron Smith-Levin so that we can keep a lid on this and make ourselves look like an elite group and very highly ethical? That's what she asks.
Exactly. And she's got to be shitting her pants when you are there telling her everything her brother did to you. And she's got to be going, oh shit, it's Dan's ass, it's my ass, we're screwed. What can I do to keep you from talking to Aaron Smith-Levin? Please tell me, I'll do it.
The chickens are fucking coming home to roost. And you know what? Her brother is the same guy that the other day said, actually made you look like a shit too, Aaron, by saying that woman's a liar and hallucinating, Aaron. And if you took any time to actually see that, it's quite obvious.
That's right.
I don't know how much more obvious can it be that this actually happened?
Yeah. These guys are in for a lot of trouble.
the world could be said or done that would make it so that Reese feels understood and that improvement would be made from the viewpoint of the Church of Scientology regarding Scientology, you know, so that you're not like,
do you think this is
feeling
so that
like
I
you have
won't get
something you need to
declared?
fight.
I appreciate what you're doing. I think you're trying to keep me from getting declared because this will cause such an upset with Doug and Brenda. And you don't want Doug to have to, and Brenda to have to declare from, or disconnect from Huxley and Michael.
I could cry about the whole thing, but honestly, even about you and me.
Well, I know that. I know that you care about that, but I think you also are worried that the bigger picture, just like I am, I'm looking at the bigger picture. What is life going to be like after I get declared? I think it's coming. And it's not because I'm going to.
Do you think it's impossible that you will not be declared as it is right now? There's no coming back from the dark place that's been gone to.
Oh, I think I'll just be, no, I think I'll be declared because if anybody saw what you saw, I knew that, taking that into consideration. If Flag sees that, if somebody at Flag or, I'm going to be declared probably just because Aaron is an SP. I've been off the lines for a long time. I've been complaining about Scientology and people know that, right? Like this chaplain knows that. I think they're going to take that all into consideration and go, just fucking declare her. She's a nobody.
Well, I don't know if that video is still up to go show it to anybody, to bring it to Flag or something like that. I have no idea because I saw what happened, realized what it was.
Well, you have a screenshot of it.
I have a screenshot of like, you know, it's just a picture. It's no words. It's a picture of his face and the messaging in the background.
I'm sure you're not the only one.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say though, Marisa, if you think, oh, I'm having this conversation with Kathy and there's literally no turning back now, I'm going to be declared, then you're going to feel like nothing I'm saying or doing could do anything about anything. But if you believe, no, this is known, this is what I have done, this is what I've said, well, just tell me, what is it? Besides the video, what is there something else that you have done?
No.
Or put out there. Okay. So, I mean, I didn't know that, you know, I don't know what else.
No. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that one little smidge alone, though, is enough probably to tip the scales. I don't have anything else to talk about. I'm upset. I've made that clear. I'm not going to go write a book about it. I'm not going to go public about it. My mom knows, my sister knows, Jeff knows, Huxley knows. It's not, I think even maybe Doug knows a little, but Brenda didn't obviously want to, you know how that goes. I'm just making it clear where I stand, I guess. I don't expect anyone to handle it, Kathy. I don't think it can be handled. I really don't. I'm not going to ever be a Scientologist. I'm not going to be loud, though. Like, I'm going to be quiet. I just think at this point, you've seen that. Probably some other people have seen that, and it's probably coming. That's all.
I don't think it's going to come. I'm going to go communicate about this right now.
Okay.
And I'm going to find out what I would like to do when I go communicate about it to my MAA. Okay? I'm going to go communicate to my MAA. I've already done some auditing for the past.
By the way, guys, MAA is another word for an ethics officer in Scientology, and it's the person who deals with all the ethics and justice stuff.
Last week, I've been already pondering because I know a lot already. I know a lot going in. You know, I know how we got here. I'm not confused about that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
I hope that makes you feel acknowledged a little
bit. It does, yeah.
Like,
you are a very small smidge of people that I know things, right?
Yeah, so I'm not like, okay, so I'm looking at this. I understand where it's coming from. I'm sitting there trying to imagine for days, unable really to sleep. I took melatonin for the first freaking time in my life.
Did it work?
It did.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Are you? Let me ask you something.
I should have done it a long time ago.
I mean, Fred took it every day. I took it sometimes. It doesn't. I take something called GABA that I get at Whole Foods that works like a charm. But are you not able to sleep because you're worried about me getting declared and the repercussions?
No, I'm not at all. I already know you will not get declared if I'm effective in handling this communication. And I don't mean just words. I mean, if I can think up, and if you can help me, please, to think up what could possibly be done so that you know what I mean? It's one thing for a person to have experienced something bad happening to them. It's another thing for them to need to keep talking about it. I'll give you an example that has nothing to do with Scientology. Like me on this, when I took Lily to Dr. Greenwood and she wasn't pooping for like 14 days and she was delivering football-sized poops that were, and I say delivering because it was labor and it was painful.
I remember.
It was horrible to watch.
Yeah, right? I remember that.
And he's like, use Miralax. And I look up Miralax and it has like 27,000 lawsuits pending. It's never been approved for the use that the doctor's telling me to use it for. It is the number one at every children's hospital. When I look at children's hospitals protocols, Boston, wherever, all over the place, every hospital I look at, and there were hundreds. Their protocol is to use Miralax to soften the stools. Then I find this Facebook group, Parents Against Miralax, and they're talking about the tics and autism and different medical, physical, chemical things that they're observing in their children from having done it, and that people are on it for years. They're not on it for a week, right?
Jesus Christ, what a long-winded analogy. Oh, my God.
And it's never been approved for use for constipation. It's never been approved for use for anybody under 17 years old. I go back to Dr. Greenwood and I go, I'm afraid to use this product. I'm using magnesium. He's really worried that I'm making the wrong choice to use magnesium because it'll throw her electrolytes off and you can't control that. And Miralax is the standard handling. And Dr. Greenwood was my only option, if you remember back then. It was a big deal for Dr. Greenwood to be shutting me down.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
Right?
Yeah.
So to this day, if I see a parent putting their children on Miralax or being told to use Miralax, I remain active in that group to talk about that thing because I feel like that's my only method to fight that problem, that suppression.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I hear you saying that. I hear you saying, hey, I talked to Asmithlevin a couple times, told him what I had to tell him, and I'm going to hate Scientology and talk about this, and I'm not going to be quiet about it. Because it never got fixed, and it should be fixed. And I think Scientology harmed at least me and probably others.
What does her kid having to take a shit have to do with you leaving Scientology?
What does any of the weird analogies she gave us? The animal shelter, her being Jane in a high school. That was so weird.
Oh my God.
What I heard you say.
Mm-hmm. That's
Did
correct.
I got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So at what point does a person have to stop feeling like they're fighting a fight? Because you're in a fight. That's what I'm hearing.
That's what you're hearing, yes. But what's wrong with it too? What if Scientology is harmful to some people?
Any mistake anyone should make, overt, you can use whatever word you want. I'm not saying mistake to mitigate anything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like a man punches a woman in the face, it's probably wrong to call that a mistake. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So any harm, mistake, overt, sin, crime, let me just put it all in one word. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any shit one person or group does to another person that harms them, I believe should be repaired.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes the repair is a little hard to imagine. A man cheats on his wife. What's the repair?
She should just ask her brother Dan.
Well, it's also weird what she's saying here. First of all, what did the Miralax have to do with anything? That was bizarre. But even just listening to this now, when she says, "I believe sin, over whatever you want to call it, should be repaired," the repair is your brother going to fucking jail. So what do you mean by repair? He should say, "I'm sorry." He should get on his OT levels. I'm getting more angry the more I think about this, because repair isn't the right word. There should be consequences, is what she should have said, for your actions, for being a criminal. Repair is so sweet and soft to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry my brother beat you over the head and choked you, and then you peed blood after that. How can we repair this?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, her definition of repair would be, what would it take for you to stop speaking publicly about this? What would it take for you to stop speaking to Aaron Smith-Levin about this? Because whatever it would take, within reason, Reese, be reasonable.
Yeah.
Whatever it would take, that's their definition of repair. It's
like
not actually making good on anything.
I think we have like 3 seconds left on this.
Okay. Let's see here.
Someone's child gets hit by a car and killed. What's the repair?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think it's different depending on the circumstances. Was the driver drunk? Did the driver just not see the child in the black of night? Like, what happened? You know, either way, something is almost irreparable. That child is not coming back. I'm sorry to go on and on, but it is important. I've thought about this for years and years when people do liability conditions, because it says make up the damage,
Right.
you know?
Right.
But what, and lots of times people do something that has nothing to do with the damage.
Yeah. For sure.
Right. That's the end of it. Change the view here. Wow.
Well, what's the repair? Again, that her analogies. Yeah, someone just said these analogies. Her analogies are so weird and just like non sequitur, like a child getting killed. What's the repair?
Yeah.
You know, and then she equates my situation with Dan to breaking grandma's precious vase. That can't be, like, what is she talking about? Not once. Again, I'm sorry, Aaron, to cut you off again, but not once, guys. There's all these weird analogies she's sprinkling all over the place that are confusing me in this phone call. I remember being like, what? What is she talking about? Not once, though, do we get an apology. Not once do we even, I'm not a person who needs apologies. I never have been, but not once does she say anything like, and I just want to acknowledge that shouldn't have happened. I know I already said that. But guys, like all these weird little analogies it's like not once can you just say, my brother should have never put his hands on you.
Right.
Which tells me that she thinks it's okay.
It seems to me that her analogies are designed to communicate the fact that some things cannot be fixed and you just have to get over it. Like the child dying, like what could her point have been other than some things can't actually be fixed. You just need to move on is what I'm getting from
her. For sure.
And certainly that is how Scientology views things when a Scientologist or a staff member is complaining about something that was done to them. It's like, okay, that's the past. Get over it. What do you want us to do? Move on. Oh no, Reese, did your internet really go out? Oh, are you serious? I'm going to text you, Reese. Oh my God. Did it really happen again? Okay. Did your internet go out? Well, if our internet had to go out, we couldn't have picked a better time. at the end this time. Let's see. Ductus Exemplo. Ron and Reese, thank you for breaking free, sharing your stories with the world. Growing up as a 5th generation LDS. Wow. I feel the so many similarities between the two. You are the voice for us all. Incredible. Thank you for that. Let me see. I saw another couple in the queue here. Ron, LL Ron. Alrighty. The Doodle Queen says, is David Miscavige involved personally with every declaration of a suppressive person? The answer to that is no. The International Justice Chief is a guy. That post is the ultimate. That is as far as SP declares have to go up the command channel in order to get approved. Okay, it looks like Reese's internet has actually gone out, and that's fine because we were going to wrap this up right now anyway. Okay, before I wrap up, let me share my screen here momentarily. I want to remind everybody that Jenna Miscavige is starting her YouTube channel. Get over there. Get over there now. You guys don't want to miss this. Jenna Miscavige, that's the photo. You can't miss it. Jenna Miscavige, just search Jenna Miscavige or at Jenna Miscavige. Can't miss it. And then, of course, the lovely, relatable Reese. If you're not already subscribed, definitely jump over there and subscribe to Reese's channel. Let me see, guys. Just trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. My God, thank God her internet did not go out in the middle of the video again. But maybe Xenu isn't the only one. Maybe Xenu and the Body Thetans aren't the only one responsible for Reese's internet problems. Maybe there's something going on more than meets the eye. We just don't know. We just don't know. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for hanging in there with us this afternoon. Thank you so much to everyone who watches until the very end, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, oh, dancing for my love, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not,